Alrighty, we got the Great Divide in MMORPG progression from your boy Mad Season. I almost bit my tongue. Fantastic. Okay.
Hey guys, what's up? Mad Season here, back
Yo.
with another video for you. Something you may have seen discussed quite frequently recently in the world of MMOs is horizontal versus vertical progression. It's been going around more and more lately, especially since OSRs has started versus vertical progression. It's been going
Classic Plus and horizontal progression. Should Blizzard take some notes from Guild Wars 2 and do more horizontal? I can't help but feel like horizontal would be the way to go for Classic Plus. I feel like most people are in the same boat for not wanting any level cap increase as Classic Plus progresses. There's no level cap increase, no gear treadmill. You just hop in and carry on from where you left off last time. I mean, isn't that how it goes currently? With like the current classic like game of WoW, your gear is still relevant. Everything you have acquired is still the same spot progression wise. Extremely alt friendly, very easy to take breaks and come back later. I mean, you can kind of do that with like regular WoW, like regular classic WoW, no? Versus like there's a bunch of different versions of like horizontal and a bunch of different versions of vertical, like in general, like you say horizontal, vertical, and people will easily associate those things with like power gain, do more damage type of stuff, right? I think whenever I initially played like classic WoW back when it first came out, I mean, I was like just chilling, playing like very casually whenever I could, and I think it was pretty good. Like I never like raided or anything because I just didn't want to, and like due to my schedule, I couldn't. But I just wanted to go through the whole leveling experience because that's what was always like hyped up, and I never did it like way back in the day. Remember when Moses parted the Red Sea? Yeah, I never did it back then. So the guide, all the guides came out, and I did it then, and actually it was pretty good. It was a fun little adventure. So it's not like this carry on from where you last left off is exclusive to horizontal progression. You could do that with vertical stuff too, right? Because anytime you feel like there's a game with like only vertical progression, there's a sense of FOMO stuff. If you're not on like the bleeding edge of like progress and doing all this stuff with like the server, with all the no life bros that don't have a job, or maybe their job's like at home and they're doing their job and playing, right? You're not keeping up with them. It feels like you're getting left behind, which is understandable. Basically, for those who have never played Guild Wars 2, instead of increasing level cap with each content update, they bring out new maps. Lots of see, that stuff is good too. They bring out new maps, lots of open world, masteries, instance PvE raid, strikes, fractals. So I never played Guild Wars 2, or I never played Guild Wars 2. But there is like one kind of game that is like kind of like that I have like a couple hours in. Monster Hunter. You could make the argument. Monster Hunter is probably very like vertical progress. You get better gear, you get weapons that do more damage, you get gear that defends against harder hits, you get more skills, and 100% that is vertical in terms of like power gain and bigger number, more damage, or more defense, whatever. But there is no like level, like conventionally, like World of Warcraft. It's like new monster. It's either like new map comes out, maybe a new couple monsters come out, and you go hunt them with like whatever you were doing last time, and you get like the new gear. And in general, the new gear is like better. I think Monster Hunter is like in this weird spot of like it's a good medium style game where it's like it's kind of vertical, it's kind of horizontal. I think it's just right how Monster Hunter does it with like how I prefer like games like longevity wise. Like I don't really want to like dump a bunch like thousands and thousands of hours into a game anymore. I used to do that and I just don't anymore. It's only a matter of time before your favorite game is just up and done with. So yeah, I don't like I see everyone doing all this like RuneScape stuff, but it's like not for me. Move on. But okay, I'm just like ranting, but let's keep going. Along with new content, they introduce new masteries. These masteries are tied to the new content that comes out. Once you level these masteries, they increase your abilities, not more damage or anything, just more increasing your rewards in the new content. I mean, there's probably like some more detail in there that I don't know. Even with the Path of Fire expansion, all the masteries were just to make your mounts feel better and do more things. Okay. All the masteries are account wide, so you really are just leveling up your account, which helps make the game very alt friendly. I dig that. A great example that I kind of enjoyed in the past was I liked how what was it? The old Final Fantasy. Which one? The old online one, not the new online one. The old, was it 11 or was it 14? The one that looked like sand and grainy, and you just end up fighting like bunnies and shit. I liked it. I don't know if I'm describing the right one, but the one where you didn't have to make a new character if you wanted to do a new profession or job or class or whatever. It's just you open up your job tab and you just click on that one. And it's like, okay, you're a warrior now. Okay, you're a samurai now. Okay, you're a red mage, a blue mage now. All right. I really enjoyed that one where you just have like the one character and you just flip flop jobs. Right. I kind of forgot how the gear went, but whatever. I like the idea of having like one character that can just do anything and you just like switch in and out. That's kind of one reason why I like Monster Hunter. You just have the one character, and if you want to pick a new weapon, go start it. Just go do it. I don't gotta bother making a new character. I don't gotta bother leveling up again. I don't gotta bother doing this all. I gotta get more bags. I gotta get more stuff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I've enjoyed it in the past, but I'm at a time in my life where I don't really feel like doing that. But I get the gist of it.
Going around more and more lately, especially since OSRs has started to gain some
Oh, there's currently over 200,000 people playing.
Popularity here, because many believe that one of the main reasons for that is due to the way that it's set up with this horizontal progression. I've personally mentioned it a few times, but I thought it was worthy of its own video because there's quite a lot to it. So if you don't know already, horizontal versus vertical. If an MMO is a human body, you can think of these as their skeleton, essentially. From character creation to the end game ultra challenging bosses, they represent the very foundation on which the entire game is built, and they fundamentally control how it's played on almost every single level.
Nice.
It's like the Star Wars versus Star Trek of the MMORPG genre, except somehow even more nerdy.
Yeah.
What lies at the core of nearly every RPG is character progression, MMOs included. It's all about creating an avatar, starting with nothing, and through a rather intense investment of time for the MMO in particular, the player is able to extract advancement from this online virtual world. And outside of the MMO, although it wouldn't be fair to say that it's simple, it is straightforward, as of course the beginning and the end are clearly defined. A group of heroes and adventurers set off, collect magic rocks or something, defeat enemies, bosses, they level up, they get new equipment, learn new spells, and
Mighty
after
Guard,
about
White
20,
Wind.
30, 50 hours of doing that, they reach the end, the credits roll, and the hero's journey is complete.
But like, what are we talking about? Like when we're talking about like horizontal versus vertical, right? Because it's a game, all right? Your path has been set out already before you even decide to play the game. Your path is decided for you, right? Because there's developers that make the game and they have an intended way that they want the player to extract advancement out of the world, right? They already have a thing in their head of like, we want the player to do this, right? So it's just essentially we're just talking about, do you like mustard more or do you like ketchup more? That's all I feel this really is going to be about. What I mean, and there's pros and cons to like both styles, right? Of like vertical and horizontal. It's not like one is right and one is wrong.
But in the late 90s and early 2000s, of course, here comes the MMO, which is unique because they remove one essential component.
Did he always have like two earrings like that? Like a circle and a circle?
Component of the RPG, and that's the end. So the real question becomes, what happens when the entire idea of your game is that it never ends? And even decades later, content is continuously added in order to keep the players busy and therefore subscribed. And more importantly, in this model, how do you construct its progression and how does that change compared to its single player counterpart? So this is the great challenge that developers of the genre have been struggling with ever since its inception, and it's usually what makes or breaks it. If the developer doesn't add enough, the players run out of things to do, they get bored, and subscribe to their competitor. However, if they add too much, or if they do it without care...
And it's not the worst thing to like stop playing the game and go subscribe to your competitor. Because isn't that what the Final Fantasy... What's the new MMO for Final Fantasy? Well, not new. But 11 was the old one. And then the new MMO one was it 14? I don't remember. Whatever. The point is that the developer, or maybe that was like the main one. The main developer of that game said, guys, it's okay for us to make some content, for you to come out, beat it all up, spend however much time you want into it, and then unsubscribe and go play something else until we come out with some more content. He said that. Okay? And that goes against the grain of the larger, I don't know, MMORPG industry, where you got every developer saying never unsubscribe, always stay subscribed, stay playing our game, spend money into our cosmetics or whatever, always play our game. We need you guys for the metrics. All right? Never stop playing our game.
They run the risk of cannibalizing existing content and systems, and in some cases they even speed players even further to this finish line that they're trying so desperately to keep out of their reach, as they've now collectively destroyed and removed more content that they have added. It's in the name, progression. To progress, you must gain something, whether that be a level or a spell or a new item. But the problem is that often when something is gained, that means that something is also lost. It's the conservation of energy within the world of MMOs. Using a new powerful spell means that the previous most powerful spell is no longer used as much, and when a shiny new sword is equipped, the previous is thrown into the bank along with all of the other pieces of equipment that are gathering dust. So this is what people mean when they say vertical progression. Is progression such that when new content is released, it quite harshly makes existing content in the game irrelevant. Games representing this style would be the genre-defining World of Warcraft, or its many clones. There's this very defined and definite creep in power, and even if the game is 10, 20, 30 years old, the amount of relevant and impactful content to do in the game stays roughly the same. A good example, and one that I've used before, is how modern World of Warcraft structures their raids and patches. When a new patch is released, nearly all the character power extracted from the previous is very quickly replaced.
You know what I've just thought of? Since WoW has been like the one MMO that's been around forever, and WoW is always under the critique of its only vertical progression, has anybody ever made the argument that WoW, like, through just being here for like since ever, has anybody ever made the argument that, like, with all like the stat crunches, level crunches, ability crunches, or was it ability pruning or whatever, has anybody ever made the argument that like WoW is horizontal but it is masked as vertical? Because I mean, shouldn't we be doing like trillions and quadrillions and pentillions of damage since like day one of World of Warcraft? But since there's been like stat crunches, level crunches, and all this other bullshit, and WoW is still coming out with new stuff, isn't that more or less just like kind of horizontal? Like, yeah, there's obviously parts where it's like, oh, I do more damage, yes. But what's the track record of like a stat crunch or a level crunch? Because it's like with WoW, it's not just vertical, right? It's been more like bop bop. It's been like, oh, up, too much, stat crunch, up, stat crunch, up, crunch. I don't fucking know. It's like, and like maybe like the overall trend is like, I can't really tell if it's like horizontal or if it's like should be trending vertical, right? Because it's like, if that was the case, you know, you kind of track the valleys, and it's like the valleys could like trend up. But then in that case, it would you just minimize this, right? Pinch, don't spread. Let's do a new. And then it would just be the case of, you know, it's up, it's down, it's up. And once it reaches like, you see, because it like trends up, it would just like reset, like back down again. It's like up, down, up, down. And it's like,
And aside from cosmetics and collectibles, there's no real reason to return to the content from the previous patch. And in the other corner, we of course have horizontal progression, which is more defined by what vertical progression isn't. Horizontal avoids this cannibalization, as when new content is added, it's done in a way that minimizes this negative impact on the already existing features and systems.
Yeah, and notice what he says. He's minimizing. You're minimizing the power, probably like conventional, you know, combat, big damage numbers, big defense numbers, whatever. You're trying to minimize that. If you're gonna give somebody some more damage, it'll be like +1 or +0.5 or something. But then again, it's like, that's the same argument of like any vertical is still vertical versus like a tiny bit of vertical and like a bunch of horizontal, right?
Of course, as many are learning now, this style is represented by games like OSRS or even Star Wars Galaxies, if you ever played that.
Oh yeah.
The platformer has been running for over 10 years now, and content you did back then at its release is still very much relevant today, and you can pick up where you left off at a much greater capacity compared to a game made in the vertical style of progression. These two systems are commonly associated with two different subgenres of the MMO, specifically theme park versus sandbox. Theme park, if you don't know, being this very curated and linear form of progression. A good example of this is when World of Warcraft first released, it had over 40 zones, and while technically players could go into any of them immediately, they wouldn't have a very good time because they would be constantly killed by high-level creatures.
Yeah.
The quests in the zones would be too high level for them to accept, and even if they could, they wouldn't be able to use the gear that they got from them. So it's a much more controlled and restrictive experience, as the developers have this very specific vision in mind that they want you to experience. Sandbox, on the other hand, is defined more by freedom, or as someone may say, the lack of direction. Players are just kind of thrown into this online world, and maybe they're given a very basic tutorial, and from then on are thrown to the wolves, essentially, and the responsibility lies on them to figure out what they want to do, how to do it, what order to do it in, and so on.
Oh, yeah.
And over the years, as it's turned out...
Bro, I actually went back and played Star Wars Galaxies on like some private server. I was so I was so delusional, dude. Because like when I first played it, I was in like middle/high school, like early high school. And my buddy was like a smuggler, and like we would take turns just sitting in town trying to like just yell out like, we'll open like the smuggler boxes because you had to splice them open or whatever. We'll splice your shit. Listening to Linkin Park while literally next to me he had like some fucking dragon sword. It was like a bunch of weird doofy blades on it. Yeah, that was just the vibe. But yeah, like I went back and to play that private server with my other buddy. He like tried to convince me, and he did. And I got like one class to like master rank, and it was like commando, because I wanted to. There was like some blend of classes where you could take down like crate dragons by yourself. That's kind of like taking down like a world boss in World of Warcraft by yourself. And I tried to I got master commando, and I was like, I'm fucking done. This is so fucking boring, dude. Oh man. So like all this nostalgia for Star Wars Galaxies.
It's quite common to find vertical style of progression in this theme park style, and horizontal in sandbox, as these two very different subgenres are just more receptive to this style of developing their game. Although I wouldn't say this is absolutely the case for every single MMO ever made.
Okay, Guild Wars 2 I hear is an exception. Vanilla WoW also has some horizontal. Yeah, Vanilla WoW does have some horizontal stuff, provided it's like level specific, right? Because like once you reach like I don't know, 30 or 40 or whatever, or 50 even, there's like little side dungeons or outside dungeons that you can just go to, that you know the devs intended for you to go to. And like instead of like jumping in an instance and sectioning yourself off from the rest of the world, they wanted you to like, oh, go do this like little outside dungeon or something like that, or outside raid or what have you. So it's like there's like snippets of it here and there, and I think they did a fine job. Theme parks can be horizontal, and sandboxes can be vertical. Yes, they can.
But generally, it is the case.
It's not a hard and fast
advantages
rule.
And disadvantages of both designs. Going over both of them and starting with vertical, the advantages would be that it's a good match for players who appreciate more in the moment rather than the long term, as every patch or update is essentially its own experience and fresh start. And as people have learned over the years, fresh.
The fuck is this? War Within 11.1, and what is this? 11.15, 11.17, 11.2 expansion reveal. Oh wow!
Starts are very appealing in the genre. That's why MMO launches are so popular, and then there's this huge drop-off, is that people really look forward to this fresh and even playing field that everyone starts off at square one, even if it isn't directly.
Oh yeah, like new MMO drops, everyone starts at square one. That's the best. It is. Because like, bro, when they first released the classic WoW vanilla servers back in, when did they do that? Like 10, 11 years ago? However long, or maybe it wasn't 10, maybe that's a little too long. Was it like 8, 9-ish years ago? And what did I pick? I think I picked a mage. and try to do like undead mage, and you log in and you go, you like start off in the crypts. You gotta like run out to go to like that little town or whatever. Bro, I was like, you see like a literal conga line of people just like just follow everybody, just like tens, hundreds of people doing the same exact thing you're doing. It's like a cool feeling to be there, like in that exact moment. Thank God they had dynamic spawning for all that shit. Holy, I would not want to be there if they didn't have the dynamic spawning thing. Jesus Christ.
Activities like PvP, players are always competing against each other in some way, and this is especially true typically in these theme park vertical style of progression games. It's a very reward-oriented structure of who has the best gear, who does the most DPS, who has more mounts, who has the coolest mount, who has more achievements. In these types of MMOs, the progression of a player is measured by the progression of other players. It's all relative, and this is even more true if the game has features and systems in place that quickly identify and filter others based on.
Oh, I gotta filter you because your item level isn't high enough, right? I don't. What is this? Mistweaver? Is this mop? I don't know. Yeah, that's the one thing no MMO has ever done really, outside of like the PvP aspects of their game. They never put like a rank or something on a character. Much the same way like an FPS game puts a rank on you, like provided you're doing the ladder, like the ranked version of the game. You know, you got like bronze, silver, gold, plat, diamond, so on and so forth. In MMOs, you don't get a rank. You know, there have been like third-party programs like Raider.io or Warcraft logs to attempt to do stuff like that, because it's the whole argument of I want to play with characters of, or not characters, I want to play with other people of similar skill level, like as myself. I don't want to have to carry people, right? If they're not putting in a good faith effort to be, like trying to play the game in like a good enough way, I don't want to waste my time trying to carry a bunch of people when I'm like doing my damnedest to try to like be good at the game. And like that's a whole argument, not even part of this like video.
Off of their progression. Oftentimes this will be boiled down into some number that can be easily identified. In World of Warcraft terms, having the best in slot in patch 10.1 is very impressive in patch 10.1, but not as much in 10.3 because it's, of course, no longer the best in slot. It's old news. So there's a lot of competitiveness and pressure in this style, and it appeals more to those who are more naturally competitive, as this pressure to obtain this new powerful gear is brought on more so by other people obtaining it. If you don't do the new content,
and there is a competitive aspect to it with the whole vertical progression thing, but depending on what game you're like MMO you're playing, it's like you either get good gear by either a time investment, which not a lot of people have, or it's just like pure raw skill. And you're talking MMOs, it's like what macros can you make and tap the button quick, switch target the quickest or something like that. And you don't need like an extraordinary amount of time to like get good at something like that. But it can be gained through like your vertical progress can be gained through like a heavy like skill investment over a short amount of time versus like just raw time investment. And you gain you gain like vertical progression through just raw time investment. Right? So like, let's say I'm really good at a game, but it only took me like 100 hours versus the other guy that has put in like 500 hours, but he's only like okay at a game, right? Who's in the right? Who deserves more vertical progression? The guy that is only put 100 hours in, but he's like pretty freaking good, or the guy that put in 500 hours, but he's just okay. Like, he's gold.
Your character will quickly become less and less relevant, and if you fall far behind enough, you may even be excluded out of activities because you simply don't bring as much benefit as someone who has been more active with the latest updates. While these constant fresh starts are exciting for some, they can be annoying to others because taking even just a 1 month break can sometimes feel like you're starting back from square one if you do come back. With the genre being so defined by character progression, some people look at this power creep as more destructive than it is exciting.
Yeah, that's the whole character treadmill. What, I forgot how you guys say it. The endless treadmill, or the hedonistic treadmill, or something. I forgot. But like, instead of like real world vices, it's just like video game like character power vices, and I need more power. I gotta keep playing.
And if it's done in a very heavy
hedonic treadmill,
not so delicate way, the player can get the impression that they're spinning their wheels. And while there certainly are those who are more in the moment and their satisfaction comes from the moment and the experience, there are also those that are initially drawn by this world of character development in this very time-consuming genre, who are disappointed to find that their time spent doesn't really retain much value, and they dislike this constant pressure to keep playing under the threat of falling behind.
Yep. Threat of falling behind, FOMO, fear of missing out. I'm not on the bleeding edge of progress. I'm not on the bleeding edge of being ready to consume the next bit of content.
Instead of feeling like they're rewarded for playing, they more feel like they're punished for not playing. And they want it such that when they put their time into the game, even years later, they want that investment to retain a large chunk of its value. So, of course, an example of this would be old school RuneScape, which, for example, they had a new skill called sailing. That doesn't make the mining skill less valuable, as they exist in these two different worlds. This is a style of progression that is far less influenced by this social pressure of falling behind if you don't engage in the new content immediately. It's definitely a much more personal experience where you have the freedom to pace yourself and you have much more control over your personal journey in the game world. Although while we're at it here, just to clear up a common misconception, even in a very horizontal style of game, there'll always be at least some form of loss. At the end of the day, when new content is released, there has to be some incentive to engage with it, and most commonly that comes in the form of exciting equipment or features. And for them to be exciting, they have to be good or worthwhile. And because, again, progression is all relative in the genre, for something to be better, something else has to be made worse in some way. This decay will always exist to some degree, even in horizontal. But what really separates the two is that horizontal makes this very concerted effort to minimize the decay part as much as humanly possible. So, two very fundamentally different styles of structuring your games, and really it's up to the individual player to decide which they prefer. Today, because World of Warcraft became so dominant within the genre, theme park and therefore vertical progression is currently the most popular and common, but people are usually pretty surprised to learn that it wasn't always the case. In fact, it was the opposite. In the genre's formative years, it was
Worm Online, Ultima. Oh, you can't even see that. It's just like Ultima Online, Albion, Eve, Star Wars Galaxies.
Largely dominated by sandbox with games like Ultima Online, Star Wars Galaxies, and of course RuneScape. It was just how the genre was, largely due to a lack of experience and often the massive funding needed to make these games. It was just the cheapest and easiest way to make them. At the time, it was unfathomable to have this fully curated campaign from level 1 to 60 with handcrafted zones, quests, instance dungeons and raids, attunement chains, and much more. The genre at this point was not only expensive, it was also unproven, and it was only after when Varant with EverQuest and then later Blizzard with World of Warcraft showed just what was possible is when everyone tried to emulate it. And most every MMO after WoW chased this linearity and this vertical style of progression. Even existing sandbox games changed their entire identity based around it. A good example here is Star Wars Galaxies with its combat upgrade and new game enhancement.
Oh yeah, that was. I remember the day when they tried to do that, and what was it? They gave Star Wars fans Flee Net Galaxy. Yeah, the combat update. It was also the combat update and was it the Starfighter update? Because the one after that, when they did that, I think they also shortly introduced like Starfighter combat, like getting a little X-wing type thing, and they tried to integrate those old ass games of like Jedi Star Wars or Star Wars Jedi Starfighter type of stuff into the game, where you had like a reticle and it's like getting there, and it was like a whole other chunk of like class you could like progress or whatever. And your big old reticle, you had like a little like bad guy off in the distance, and you had like you had to like shoot way in front of the dude in order for him to like run into like your lasers and like lock on missiles and stuff like that. Yep, they had that.
And from what I understand, even RuneScape went down the very similar path. Unfortunately for these developers, they didn't realize that the last few holdouts that were playing their MMOs were the people who preferred sandbox and horizontal progression. So when they changed them to be more like World of Warcraft, it led to their very slow decline until today, where it seems as if people are sort of realizing that OSRS in particular is sort of this haven for those who prefer the sandbox and its associated horizontal-based progression. At the end of the day, it's all preference.
Yeah.
Some people prefer vertical, some horizontal. I think these days we're starting to see this newfound appreciation for the latter, but at the same time, I think there will always be a demand for both.
Oh yeah.
Personally, for me, at the moment, I'm quite enjoying sandbox and horizontal. Anyone who's familiar with the channel knows that I can't shut up about Star Wars Galaxies.
Oh yeah.
That was the first game in the genre that I really fell in love with.
Same.
And
let's see, was it Star Wars Galaxies for me? Or was it WoW? I don't remember, because like when I first played WoW, I was like a little kid and didn't know anything about the game. I think I made a mage and I got him to like level 11 or something, and I just quit because I don't know why I quit. I forgot. But I think I did that, and then I jumped into Star Wars Galaxies. Like with my well, I didn't do it because like I didn't have enough money for like good enough computer to run the game. So if I wanted to play, I had to go over my buddy Kyle's house because he had the nice computer. So I never played like my character. I just went over and he was playing, and Jesus, I remember like knocking on his like bedroom door and opening it up, and he's just like sitting there at like on his little computer chair, and he's just like hanging out playing the game, like, oh Kyle, what's up? And then he had like a couch like right behind him, and we just like hang out on the couch and just bullshit. And then he had like a TV like at like one side on the end, so like we could just like sit there and like play games like on a console while he's like chilling there on the PC. And yeah, that was nice.
With sandbox fading away after the release of World of Warcraft, it's an itch that hadn't been scratched in a very long time. I guess if you ask me personally, the problem with vertical is that, you know, going back to this pressure of keep playing or else you'll fall behind, is that it's just so much. I feel like developers have realized this, and they've sort of resorted to this constant stream of daily and weekly activities to keep players actively engaged.
Yeah.
And it's to the point that old content is replaced so lightning fast that even quitting for a month makes you feel like you're starting from scratch all over again. Every MMO has this treadmill system where players are put on it, and to keep them on it, this carrot is constantly dangled in front of their faces. And I think back before we understood the genre, it was far easier to disguise this, but over time, as players have collectively gained experience, it's much harder to hide it. So much.
Yeah, and everybody's old now. Everybody's in their 40s, dude. Late 30s, 40s. They've been around the block. They can see trends what's happening in video games. And what ends up happening, the older people can like kind of tell like what is happening all over the greater video game escape. They can just like relay that down to like the next generation. It's like, oh, if you like this, then you should go play this, or this is the kind of trend that happens in this type of video game. So watch out for that. Don't get got by some gambling bullshit, right?
So that sometimes it doesn't even feel like there's an effort to hide it, as developers sort of see it as this fruitless venture. And I think that's the point where the magic really fades. That's something you hear quite often these days. Many people say that it feels like MMOs have lost their magic. And in my opinion, I think that's because they're sort of overtly crafted to treat you like a hamster on the wheel. And it's just sort of this accepted thing. It's the elephant in the room. A question you may have seen quite often with these types of MMOs is that...
Is it too late to start? I took a break from WoW and missed a fresh classic again. How far along is everything at the moment? Is there a content roadmap, or is everything done and dusted? Definitely not too late. Jump on in.
Is it too late to start? And your first thought might be, well, constantly having these pseudo restarts must be a good thing then. Look at how many people are waiting for a good moment to jump in.
Yeah.
But I think the real question should be, why are they asking this question?
That is a good question. And that's a question I will always ask if I ever play any MMO ever again. Is it a good time to start, or should I just wait till like the next patch to start? It just is.
Well, they're asking it because you've crafted your game to be unappealing at every moment, but these fresh starts.
But the beginning.
In my opinion, this self-cannibalization isn't a solution. It's the entire source of the problem. And people ask it because your game is set up to constantly reset progression.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course...
It's the... Like, what do you call it? Like, Battle Royales did this. The seasonalization of gameplay. Battle Royales came out, Season 1, Season 2, Season 3. Fortnite does it. PUBG. Every FPS game pretty much does it. Season, whatever. And now like, MMO people saw the success of it. The seasonal reset of progress that FPSs have done. And they saw how successful it was. And then they're like, oh, we're going to do that too.
If any substantial amount of time passes after these fresh launches or relaunches, the game becomes less and less appealing to play because the player is going to feel more and more behind, because this entire style of progression is sort of centered around this societal pressure to keep up with the current content.
Yeah. But also, I think the player should also take some responsibility too. And this is like maybe not really an epiphany or just a thought that I have had like as I get older. Like everybody, how like everyone's looking for like the one game, like MMO game to like rest their laurels on and just be like, I'm playing this shit forever, right? And in some cases it's OSRS or whatever. So it's like their forever game that they can play. What I think is happening, and I could be wrong, is that I think more and more people are looking for their forever game less and less. Right? Because when I was like teenage years, maybe early 20s, I was 100% in that mindset of like, oh, I gotta find my forever game. Oh, maybe I could dump a bunch of hours in this game. This game's gonna be around forever. Blah blah blah. But lo and behold, fast forward a couple years, and then every live service game, eventually they all shut down. Seldom will you ever find something that is just gonna be around forever. It's just the natural trend of things, it seems. Like if you're lucky and you can find your like little forever game, and it'll last like, because like what's like a live service game that's been around as long as WoW? Like Counter-Strike, Yeah, Counter-Strike been around for a long time. WoW been around for a long time. There's probably a couple other ones, but like I can't really think of any off the top of my head. Maybe OSRS. Um, and 3 games in a sea of an absolute metric shit ton of other games, all trying to do the same thing and replicate that and capture that magic. Um, I just don't see it happening. Like I think the culture is changing so that players are just don't get invested as much as they used to. I think that's what's going to happen.
You fall behind. This may be anecdotal, but I feel like you don't really see this question that much with the more horizontal style of games, and I think a reason for that is that you don't have this social pressure that's so common with vertical. Anytime is a good time to play, because the experience isn't really about the rewards as much as it is about the activities you engage with to get the rewards. And because of that, there's less apprehension of finding this perfect right timing of being in the fun part or the good part of the game and not feeling like you're massively behind. Or if you ever fall off the treadmill, you'll become massively behind. I think another reason for this big surge recently towards horizontal is that the genre gained so much of its player base over 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
When a lot of the players were in their teenage or early adult years. So you have this giant group of people who are hitting their mid-30s, and of course this is the age where people start valuing time more and more.
Yeah.
And they're becoming more intolerant to their valuable time being overtly reset and wasted. As time consuming as the genre is, they at least want that investment to mean something and to hold some sort of value. And they also want that freedom where if life happens...
At the end of the day, the only thing that you have from all of your MMORPG progression is memories. That's all it will ever wind down to. And the sooner you come to grips with that, the better. Because let's say you were playing World of Warcraft since day one, and then you got good enough and progressed into like regular as like retail, right? And you're still playing in retail. Or let's say Counter-Strike since day one, or OSRS since day one. You may still be like on that train, but you have no idea on whether or not it's going to like be there for the next like 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So because of that, I think the only thing that you should take away from it is just enjoy the time that you have, because at any moment it can just be taken away.
Which often does at around this age. They have this comfort and freedom that they can step away from it for a few months, and when they come back, they don't have to essentially start over again. So I guess you can consider me as a part of this group. Right now where I'm at, I'm very receptive to this more horizontal style, but at the same time, I'm sure in the future I'll get the itch for vertical again. I'm definitely leaning one way at the moment, but the good thing is that these two styles are different enough that they both warrant existing as they satisfy two different crowds.
Yeah.
I'm glad that OSRS is allowing people to see the benefit.
And it's not just two different crowds. You know, you can enjoy both. You can enjoy vertical and you can enjoy horizontal. It's not like an all or nothing type of deal.
Of horizontal, as I think it's been held back for many, many years now at this point, and the developers should get a lot of credit for that. In my opinion, it's a much harder way to develop an MMO because you have this challenge of how do you make something exciting and appealing for people to engage in without making other things in your game less exciting. That's not such an easy thing to accomplish in such a complex genre, but as proven with this recent surge, they've been doing that. I think that's great for the genre as a whole. I'm of the opinion that the MMO has been far too monopolistic, and that's one of the main things that holds it back. The issue is that it's so expensive to develop that it's not really possible for indie to save it from the clutches of corporate uninspired AAA slop. So when I see games like OSRS getting some traction and appreciation, not only do I think that's good for the game itself, but I think it's good for the genre and the player base as a whole. But with that, this will conclude this episode. This is a new formatted video for me, so let me know if you have any feedback. They're not edited as much as my normal videos.
That's fine.
But because of that, I can kind of put them out in just one day, and they don't really take away any time from my other stuff.
That's perfect.
You guys don't have to wait like a week or 2 weeks in between videos. It's definitely different, but hopefully still enjoyable. If that was the case, please like it if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Oh no, Turtle Wow.
Farewell for now, mortals. We hope you enjoyed today's video.
Bro.
See you again soon.
Yeah. You put it under EverQuest. Oh man. Yeah, that was a good video, man. The Great Divide. Or the Great, what's the opposite of divide? Multiplier? No. Great. I don't fucking know. Overall, it's a good video, dude. I've I don't know, I've learned to like both. Like in the beginning, I probably would have trended towards vertical, but I think now I probably have learned it. I have learned to appreciate horizontal, and I don't know. Like they're both good, man. Just play whatever you want to play, but also don't expect your thing to last forever. Yeah, but other than that, good stuff, man. Keep it up. That's it for me. All right, later.